Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Geek-Minded Fools. My name's Graham.
And I'm Scott.
We'll kick off, as usual, with a visit to Scott in his monkey farm.
Hey, partners, it's time to see what Scott's doing down on his monkey farm.
Hello, sir. Welcome, as always, to the monkey farm.
Thank thee.
How are you?
I'm very well. Yourself?
I'm full of cold.
Oh, bless your heart.
I know. I'm always full of something.
Sniffle. Hey.
How rude. Right, what have I got for you this week? I got some sad news.
Oh.
I've got some amusing news.
Ah.
I've got some tiny news.
Tiny.
And I've got some very, very exciting news.
Newsy news.
Newsy news. It's all news. All news is good news. Is that what they say? No news is bad news? I don't know what the fuck the saying is. What is it? No news is some news when it's not very good.
No news is good news.
That's the one. Right, okay. Unfortunately, we have just lost someone who I consider to be an absolutely astonishing actor. And when you look at his body of work, it's just stunning. Robert Loggia passed away. I don't know if you know Robert Loggia.
I do.
He passed away recently, born in 1930, so he's just passed away. He's been in such films as Scarface, Big, Over the Top,
Really?
which is one of my favourite Stallone movies. Independence Day, Officer and a Gentleman, you name it, he's been in it.
Yeah.
Wow, what a fabulous, fabulous actor.
Always that sort of grumpy figure of authority.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who doesn't know who we're talking about, probably the best way for you to remember him will be, he's the store owner in Big, isn't he?
He is, yes. The one who does the keyboard with Tom Hanks.
With Tom Hanks,
yes.
yeah. Those of you, obviously, all of you who can't see Graham, he just did an amazing impersonation of someone playing a keyboard with what looked like Vulcan hands. I'm pretty sure that's not how you play a keyboard or a piano. But yeah, Robert Loggia, that's probably one of his roles that he was more kindly in, I think.
Yes,
because normally, I mean, in Scarface, he's an awful, terrible, backstabbing bastard. In Over the Top, again, he's an awful, backstabbing bastard. In most of the films he was in, he was a backstabbing bastard.
There's a theme.
There is a theme.
As I say, the grumpy figure of authority, the one that he was always, the sort of great, sort of gruff voice, didn't he?
Yeah. So he will be sorely, sorely missed. So that's Robert Loggia there. Right, what's next up? Norman Reedus.
Do you know what? I was hoping you were going to get to this.
I love Norman Reedus. Do you know what? I think we've been long enough without
Norman Reedus. You said a right mouthful.
I know. We've been long enough without a man crush, and I've never actually mentioned my man crush on Norman Reedus because he's a bit seedy and a bit greasy looking.
He
isn't
is very much.
But I'll tell you what, man crush. Insert jingle here. Norman Reedus was a con, wasn't he? The Walker Stalker con.
Yes.
Posing for a picture with a female fan who decided it would be a good idea to have a little nibble and bite him on the chest.
She was so overcome with actually meeting him that she could think of nothing to do but bite the fucker.
Well done, lady fan. I'm not going to mention her name because I haven't written it down, to be honest. But well done, lady fan. I like the fact that she was ejected from the Walker Stalker con and banned for life.
Indeed.
And then Norman Reedus put up a little, I think it was on Twitter, he put something up.
It was on Instagram.
Was it Instagram? Okay,
yes.
Just a picture of him looking very, very hot, very man-crushy.
With his vest.
Yeah, saying...
please do not bite me.
Yeah, absolute genius. I love that. I think that's one of my favourite stories, I think, of the year.
Which is obviously quite ironic, because normally the T-shirt just says, bite me.
Indeed it does. So yes, Norman Reedus getting nibbled by a fan. I really like. I'd probably have a go at giving him a nibble though. He looks quite tasty.
Fair enough. Each to their own, sir.
Indeed. So what's up next for you? Tiny news. What do you think I mean by tiny news?
I think you mean almost ant size.
Oh, you're good. We feed off each other.
Don't we just?
Do we just?
Oh, classic bants.
Classic ants.
Oh!
Ant-Man and the Wasp is coming, as you well know. Peyton Reed back.
He is back
to direct, and he's come out recently and said he hasn't come out. This director comes up all the time.
You do.
I always use.
You do out a lot of people.
I out a lot of people. He's just recently said that it's going to be a completely different genre to its predecessor.
I know, indeed.
Now, I've struggled to kind of think what genre the original Ant-Man fits in.
I can only think, because obviously, being that he's a guy who changes size, you would have to think he can't take out the superhero genre, because that's what the character is. I can only think it's probably going to be lighter on the yucks, because it was very much a comedic superhero film.
With Michael Pena
Indeed,
very much taking
that's right, yes. And I think probably what he means is this is going to be a lot straighter and maybe a bit darker, because that's what's just happened with the comics.
Yeah.
The Astonishing Ant-Man title that came out when the film came out was very light, whereas now with the Marvel reboot, they've gone for a much darker tone, so I'm sure they're probably going to be doing that in the film.
I haven't got any worries whatsoever with Peyton Reed coming back to direct, because I thought Ant-Man was one of the little sleeper successes of 2015. I really enjoyed it. It could have gone awfully wrong, couldn't it, what with the director change and such like, and all the who's and how's in the background, but
no,
I thought he did an absolutely amazing job.
They done good.
It was a really, really enjoyable film. I just hope they don't lose the lovable side of Scott Lang, because Paul Rudd does do lovable.
Well, I think that Paul Rudd just delivers that. Paul Rudd, we've always said, and we say it about a lot of people, but Paul Rudd is the everyman. He is eminently likeable, and even when he's probably doing slightly darker, dodgier things, I think we think, oh, it's Paul Rudd, we love him, don't we?
Indeed we do, and I think he's probably going to show up in Civil War as well, isn't he? I mean, there's been a number of really amusing memes of Captain America and then a zoom in of his shoulder saying, look, there's Ant-Man in the trailer sort of thing, which I think is fucking hilarious. But yeah, there you go. Ant-Man and the Wasp coming to a cinema near you soon with a different genre.
Super
Indeed. And talking of Thuper, well done you.
Yes.
You tee him up, I'll knock him out. So the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice trailer has now hit.
It did. It landed.
It did land, and what a whack it made when it landed.
Yep.
A number of my friends via text and WhatsApp and what have you were a little bit annoyed with Affleck's vocal performance. Mm-hmm. Also,
so that's a voice modulator, isn't it, in play?
It is, yeah, and I think that's obviously from the metal suit, isn't it, or the big.
At least he's pulling a full bail.
No, he's not gone full bail.
No.
But one of my very good friends...
Never go full bail.
Never go full bail. Especially never go full machinist bail. Because, hungry times. One of my very good friends, Killian, has pointed out that he feels Jesse Eisenberg has gone a bit too Joker as Lex. To which I've said to him...
Go on.
I refer you back to Gene Hackman in the originals, because he wasn't, he was quite a comedic.
Yeah, but bearing in mind that we're looking at a very different universe, the current DC one from the Christopher Reeve Superman one.
Yeah,
that was much, it wasn't Batman 66 camp, but it was definitely a lot campier than the sort of stuff we're getting now.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I would slightly disagree with the Joker reference. I would say it's more your Jim Carrey Riddler.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
It's almost like he's channeling the Schumacher Riddler in this one, and I just sort of saw it and thought, what is he doing? Why are they playing it like this? And all I can think of is he's sort of playing this over-the-top thing so that when he pulls a bit of a Kevin Spacey and suddenly goes into the dark one, it is that more of a, much Jesus more impactful, Christ, that's right.
But it doesn't help that he's got the kind of shoulder-length red hair that Carey had in Batman Forever as well.
But this iteration of the DC universe needs your dark, menacing Luthor, and therefore seeing that, of course, made us all go, what are you doing?
Well, I like his little line that he delivers to Holly Hunter regarding psychotic.
Yes.
I can't remember the exact line, but it's something like, it's a 3-syllable word for people who can't think bigger thoughts, or something along those lines. On the whole, I think the trailer looks absolutely amazing. I'm very excited.
I watched it and absolutely loved it, particularly, obviously, the Wonder Woman scene. The Wonder Woman reveal I thought was brilliantly done and made me go, oh my God, this is amazing. But it was only with subsequent watches and my concern, obviously when we mentioned about this, we didn't go into too much detail, but I said, no, there's something I need to say. My concern is that over the course of, 3 trailers now, we've seen an awful lot of the fucking film. And I don't know why DC seem to be doing this. We've had an awful lot of set pics and leaks from Suicide Squad. I mean, now we've got a film called Batman and Superman. We know why they begin not liking each other.
Yep.
We know that Superman has this distrust of a whole sort of Batman, the vigilante character. We know that Bruce Wayne was in Metropolis with the Superman Zod fight, and therefore he fears this godlike being operating on his planet. We now know that Zod is being turned by Luthor into Doomsday, and therefore we know what the threat is that brings them together. We've seen Wonder Woman turn up, and therefore this sort of in almost the jokey, is she with you? I thought she was with you kind of thing. And therefore, what else is there to this? You know, we've seen the setup, we've seen the payoff. They're kind of showing too much of their hand, which is the complete opposite of Star Wars. Obviously, we've had a Star Wars teaser, we've had 3 main Star Wars trailers, we've had TV spots. How much of the Star Wars story could you tell me? How much of The Force Awakens you say, well, I know that happens, and I know that it starts like this, and this must move to that, and that. We know nothing. We've seen so much, and yet we know nothing. Yeah. And that, to me, is J.J. Abrams being smart and saying, show them as much as you can while telling them fuck all. Yeah. And DC need to learn from that, because we know so much about this film, about the setup and the payoff, and why they're against each other, what eventually brings them back together.
I mean, it could also mean that yes, we have seen a lot, but there could be a hell of a lot more that they're not showing us. And I would hope that is the case.
But I'm talking about the salient plot points. i.e., why is it Batman versus Superman, but why is it Dawn of Justice? Somehow these guys have to be at each other. We now know why. And these guys then have to come together in order to fight a common foe that will eventually lead into the birth of the Justice League. Well, we now know what that is.
Yeah, indeed.
You know, you've shown us too much. Star Wars, we've seen lots, we know fuck all. DC, we've probably seen less, but we know more.
Yeah.
And that is a mistake, and it seems to be a mistake that DC are making a lot.
How do we feel about the Zod Doomsday thing? From a filmic point of view, it's going to work really well.
I don't have a problem with it. Yeah. It makes sense. You know, you need a supremely powerful being, and therefore, if you've got somebody who was a supremely powerful being, that the big bad, i.e. Luthor, can use to create a threat to take down these 2, you know, massive heroes. Yeah, makes perfect sense. I don't have an issue with that.
I do like the line in the trailer, the whole son of Krypton, bat of Gotham, like he's teeing it up to be a big wrestling match or boxing match, as it were. I think but again, amazing. The problem being that rumours were out there 6 months ago that Zod was going to be Doomsday, because Michael Shannon fucking tweeted saying, just going to the bathroom, having a struggle with all these, I can't remember what he said, spikes on me or something. Everybody said, oh, maybe Zod's going to be Doomsday. Yeah. Why the fuck are they allowing that stuff to get out there? Because Michael Shannon don't give a shit, does he?
Well, he should be told he should give a shit, because they're just spoiling the fuck out of their films.
Well, I hope that there is more for us to see other than what we have already been shown.
Well, there obviously will be, but I mean, one salient plot points, we pretty much know it.
One last thing I'll say about it is I did read very briefly as well that we are going to get, forgive the pun, a very quick look at the Flash. A very quick look at the Flash. So we're going to get our new Flash. So it won't be played by obviously our man from the TV version, but he's going to be in there, albeit very, very quickly. I love the look of the trailer. I think it looks amazing. I personally can't wait. I think actually I'm more excited for Suicide Squad, if I'm honest, because I can't wait to see
because it's got Joker, but mainly Harley Quinn.
Yeah, and I love those two together, but. I mean, this isn't. I really don't think this is going to let me down. It's not going to Schumacher me. So
we're all very excited about this, without a doubt. Obviously, we got Star Wars between them and now, which I'll admit I'm more excited about. Yeah. This is going to be huge, and as we're always saying, it's a great time for the likes of us.
Indeed, indeed. One final thing I'm going to mention this week, sir, in the Monkey Farm. I have a bit of an apology to make for making a recommendation to our listeners for something which I have now since seen. A couple of episodes ago, I was quite excited about a show called Krakenori.
You were.
Which you played an amazing poker face with me, and if you go back and listen to the episode, you'll hear said poker face or poker voice, if you like. I've now seen this show that I kind of bigged up and was very excited about, and it's shit. It is just outright shit. It's supposed to be an adult version of Jackanory. Whereas it could very easily just slip into the 4:15 spot on CITV, if that's still going. Do they still do CITV? Is that right?
I don't know.
CBeebies? You've got kids.
Not old enough to watch that sort of shit, I haven't.
Fair enough. But yeah, guys, I'm retracting my advice to go and watch Krakenori. Steer clear of it. It's shit. It's absolute pants.
Yeah, because when you mentioned it, you obviously mentioned it as if it was new, and of course I then had to come in and say, oh no, this has been on before. But when it had come on, probably a couple of years ago, I, like yourself, thought, well, that sounds an interesting concept. Watched the first episode, and much like yourself, just thought, this is shit, which is why when you said, oh, this sounds good, I just felt I couldn't rain in your parade and say, actually, you might think it's crap. So, as you say, tried to just keep it informative rather than give any kind of an opinion on it.
But I mean, we can now say...
If it was anything like the first episode I watched right at the beginning, dreadful.
It was just absolute pants. So, sorry guys, I slipped up. I apologise.
You're only human, Scott.
Aren't I just? And that, sir, is your monkey farm for this week. So, don't let Dora eat you on the way out.
Do I not get mine?
Oh, go on then. I did promise you, didn't I, that I'd try and give you more time in the... All right, go on then. Fine.
Mine is a very quick one. I'll keep it very brief, but it's simply news coming out of Fox that they are currently developing Rambo New Blood.
Oh, I read this, the TV show.
A TV drama in which they are trying to get Sylvester Stallone to reprise his role as John Rambo. So Rambo could be coming to a TV set near you.
I really hope he doesn't come back as Rambo.
I kind of did wonder why he came back to do the most recent film. It just sort of seemed like he was almost, I came back and do Rocky, I can come back and do Rambo. But I feel it was very much a character of its time.
Yeah. And,
of course, he's getting too old to play that sort of thing. So
and the last actual Rambo movie, which I think was called John Rambo, wasn't it? The last proper movie. Because I have seen them all. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely... There's a scene that lasts about nearly 40 seconds, I think it is, of him just shooting two guys in the back of a Jeep using the gun that's on the Jeep. He turns it around and shoots them, and they just turn into mush.
But, I mean, to me, and this may be a controversial opinion with yourself and our listeners, but to me, there was only one Rambo film, and that was First Blood.
Yeah.
That was the only one that made sense and was really well done. The moment he started going abroad, and he almost became a rah-rah American action hero. Yeah. Let's take down the Russians, let's take down the Koreans or whatever, and it just got more and more ridiculous. Him being this sort of damaged veteran on home soil rebelling against the people who treated him so badly, I thought made perfect sense. And I still think back, the one thing you say to me, First Blood, and I still think back to that one thing where it's the long sort of stick thing with the spikes on it that he pulls back, and the guy comes, he just whips around and takes the guy in the leg, and you think, oh my God. And
it's only one person dies, doesn't he, in the original First? There's the guy that falls out of the copter.
Yeah, he literally just incapacitates them all without actually killing them. But it's a brilliantly acted, written, everything movie, and didn't really need any more, because back in those days it was all about the sequels.
No Richard Crenna. No more First Blood movies, please.
No.
Because without Richard Crenna, it just doesn't work, does it?
Absolutely.
What an amazing performance! Absolutely jaw-dropping. I can't quite remember the line. I have to paraphrase it, but it's the whole. He was trained to live off the fat of the land, trained to eat things that make a billy goat puke. Awesome.
Love it.
Right, you've had your moment. You've had your minute in the sun. As I said before, don't let Dora eat you on the way out.
Thank you, sir. And now we shall move on to this week's Quick Hits.
Quick Hits.
I shall start this week, sir. I shall start, and if you cast your mind back, I don't know, 5 minutes ago, when we briefly discussed the passing of Robert Loggia.
Yes.
With that in mind, I have chosen this week as one of my quick hits a film I did watch about 2 nights ago, and I used to watch this religiously. I had it on VHS, and me and a bunch of friends would sit down and watch this all the time, because I just think it's an amazing film.
Used to dress up as nuns and watch it religiously.
That's right, that's Nuns on the Run with Robbie Coltrane and Eric Idle. No, it's Innocent Blood from 1992. I don't know if you know the film.
No, I don't.
Do you genuinely not know Innocent Blood?
No.
It was directed by John Landis.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely brilliant
Whatever
film.
happened to him?
Well, there's only so many people you can kill with helicopters. Too soon. It was 1983, wasn't it?
It was.
Anyone who knows what we're talking about, then tell us on Facebook and we might give you a prize. I don't know. Innocent Blood basically follows the story of Marie, who is a vampire with a bit of a thirst for bad guys. Hence, she will only feed from people who are bad or evil. So she fails to properly dispose of
It's kind of like
her
the
victims.
Dexter Morgan of the vampire world.
Do you know what? I'd never thought about it like that, but yeah, she kind of is. But unfortunately, one evening, she fails to dispose of one of her victims, who just turns out to be an incredibly violent Pittsburgh mob boss.
Ooh.
Played by Robert Loggia.
Hey.
He plays Sally the Shark Machelli.
Great name.
And he is a great name. And the film is just absolutely chock full of great performances from... you've got Anne Parillot as Marie, who was La Femme Nikita. Robert Laguerre, obviously, as Sally the Shark. And someone who I absolutely adore, who I don't think we see enough of now, is Anthony LaPaglia. Who I think him in... So I Married an Axe Murderer is just genius.
His finest hour.
Yeah,
bar
when he's dressed as the pimp,
yes.
Which actually does get a bit of a reference in Innocent Blood as well.
Oh, does it?
She does
Excellent.
she kind of references. What makes you such big news? You talk cheap and you dress like a pimp. So she kind of references it. It's very, very.
So I Married an Axe Murderer was 1994,
and this was 1992.
Yeah, so how can this be
she's
referencing?
not referencing it. So maybe that's why they dress him as a pimp in that.
Unless DeLorean
it could be
went back in time, referenced the film.
It could be. Was that 1994?
It was.
I actually thought that was sort of like late 80s.
No.
So I read an Axe Murderer. What's that all about? The cast, again, as I say, it's absolutely chock full of brilliant performances. You also got people like Don Rickles in there. Sam Raimi turns up. Tom Savini's in there. Frank Oz is in there. It's like all your stalwarts, all your John Landis buddies. It's just a really well put together film. It's very much of its time. It's very much a 90s movie, and it hasn't aged greatly, I will admit. But the core story is very, very good. And as you say, it does kind of come off a bit like she does come a little like a Dexter character. I think when Roger Ebert reviewed it, he famously said that there was so much potential that they'd wasted with the fact that Robert Laguerre as the mob boss now has this power to create all these vampire mafioso. And that kind of starts to happen, but before it comes full circle, it culminates with obviously Marie and Joe, played by Anthony LaPaglia, winning the day, as you would expect. But a great film, and I wanted to give it a little mention, just obviously as Robert Laguerre had passed away, and I think this is, for me, one of his finest moments. I genuinely do.
Lovely.
Because he gets to play so over the top as the mob boss. He's every performance of every mob boss that you've ever seen before, ramped up to 11. He's brilliant in it. Well worth a watch, guys.
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
My quick hit this week. I have to admit, I'm now going to say something that I'm sure over the course of this and our previous podcast has become blatantly obvious to our listeners and yourself. I'm an idiot. I am an absolute idiot.
Silence from this side of the mic.
10 years ago,
yeah,
there was a movie that I used to lend to everybody. And when I lent it to them, I would literally say, watch this is the best film you've never heard of. And pretty much to a man, they would all come back and say, do you know what, you're right, that was fucking excellent. I've never heard of it, and it was superb. And that was always my big recommendation, because nobody I knew had ever seen it. And for the last year and a half, we've been doing a podcast where each and every week we've recommended stuff, and I've never thought of doing this film. And it was only because I came across it in my DVD collection and thought, what the fuck haven't I done this? So, my quick hit this week is a movie that came out in, I think it was 2002, starring Bill Paxton and Matthew McConaughey, and it's called
what a great
Frailty.
Great film.
It is amazing.
I recommended this to someone about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Good man.
It's a great film.
It's superb, isn't it?
Yeah.
It begins with Matthew McConaughey playing a character called Fenton Meeks, great name, going to a local FBI office and asking to speak to the agent in charge of the God's Hand killer case. God's Hand killer obviously being a serial killer that the FBI are after, and the guy in charge of the case is played by Powers Booth. So it has McConaughey sitting down and telling Powers Booth that he knows who the God's Hand killer is, because it's his younger brother Adam. And Powers Booth says, well, how do you know this? And then the whole thing goes into flashback and tells a story of a single father, played by Bill Paxton, and his 2 young sons, and how he's bringing them up on his own, perfectly normal life, but then the father suddenly tells the sons that he was visited by God the previous night, and God has told him that demons are walking the earth, and it is now going to be their job as a family to kill demons.
Yeah.
The younger brother Adam, obviously being far more trusting, is saying, oh, okay, fine, yeah. And the older brother is saying, how can this be? And over the course of the next couple of days, Bill Paxton's character tells them that he's been led to the weapon they're supposed to use. So he finds this big axe as the sun is shining on this barn. He goes into the barn, finds this axe with Otis written on the handle. And he also finds a bit of lead piping as well. And it's basically him retelling this story about how Bill Paxton tells his sons that they now have to go off and fight demons, and they have these gloves because apparently when you touch a demon they can see the evil that they've been carrying out, and so when they get them they have to get gloves, and they start going out, and God gives Bill Paxton a list, and they then have to start hunting down these people. And it's about how the younger brother is very much influenced by the father, and the older brother Fenton is obviously very much against the idea. And from that premise, it's just such an engaging film. The performances across the board, particularly the two young boys, but the older boy, the boy who plays a young Fenton, is absolutely superb. But Bill Paxton is brilliant as well. And what I love about it is it tells a story, you know, and it's sort of going on its merry way, and you're thinking, yeah, okay, balmy father,
Godhead.
The younger son's going to be turned into a nutter by him. But I love the fact that you suddenly get to the end and there's a very clever twist.
Yeah.
And then there's another very clever twist. And then another very clever twist. And then just
layers of twists.
Absolutely. Just when you think you're done, there's a great twist right at the end as well. And it is a superbly performed, written, just a really, really great, engaging, but fascinating film as well. And of course, directed by Bill Paxton as well. His directorial debut.
Proving even more how much of an awesome force Bill Paxton
Absolutely.
is. He is amazing, isn't he? I love him. I love him.
So, if you haven't watched it, you know, you can probably pick the DVD up off Amazon or something pretty damn cheap. I'm sure it isn't that expensive, but do watch it if you haven't. It is such a brilliantly engaging film, and just one of the best endings of a movie that at the time I'd seen in a long, long time. So cleverly done and really very much out of left field. So... yeah.
Shall I give you a couple of facts about frailty? Do you know what Otis stands for on the axe? Only the innocent survive. And it was loosely based on an American serial killer.
Oh, okay.
A guy called Joseph Callinger, who murdered 3 people and tortured 4 families, and he did all this with his 13-year-old son. So yeah, it is a bloody good film.
It's a superb film.
It's a film that will stay with you for a little while afterwards. Without a
doubt. And I'm amazed I haven't got to it before, because it was my one recommendation for so many people, just to say, trust me, you've never heard of this, but watch it, is brilliant, and they all thoroughly agreed.
Yeah.
So there you go, Frailty.
Excellent.
And now we should move on to this week's main topic.
When they got the ball, you know they won't drop it. The Geek-Minded fools discuss the main topic.
Right, for this week's main topic, we wanted to talk about the first 8 episodes of the latest season of The Walking Dead. Obviously, we're currently at the mid-season break, so we thought, being that a shitload has happened, it certainly hasn't been many dull moments in this one.
In a small space of time. Though.
Absolutely.
Not a small space of time.
Yeah. Over the space of probably
24
hours. Yeah, they've built it up superbly, and when you've had the crossover moments, I thought it's been really well done. So, yeah.
That's as good a place to start as any, because I think that's been one of the things that I've found to be most engaging about this particular season, is the fact that they chose to do it all across one little time period.
Yeah.
I think we're right in saying it's about a 24-hour time period.
Yeah, it must be, yes.
Just first off, let's just get it out there. What did you think? Were you happy with it? Did you get bored at any point? Because for me, for my money... I think it's been one of the most enjoyable seasons.
I completely agree. I thought it's been superb. There's been a couple of bits, one main bit that I know you and I have discussed that I kind of thought, oh, come on, please, really? That we knew was coming, but it was almost like, and I mean, obviously, anybody who hasn't seen it, stop listening now, because we're going to spoil the shit out of it.
Yeah, Glenn's not dead.
But obviously, the death of Glenn.
Yeah.
There was this shock at the end of episode 3 when everybody thought Glenn had died, so much so that I remember on The Talking Dead there was a bloke in the audience crying. They showed they were watching it in the audience live, and the guy was in tears. Just a big, massive, great beardy bloke was just weeping openly.
A bear.
Indeed, yes. In your parlance, yes.
Never mind my parlance. He's a much loved character.
Well, of course he is, but therefore nobody bought it. After that initial shock, everybody went, well, of course he isn't dead. And so, you know, they'd kind of, you know, to me, the clever thing for them to do would have then to have been say, do you know what, actually he's dead. We did kill him and none of you believed it. And for them to pull a double bluff, but everybody called their bluff to a man. Yeah. Nobody believed that he was dead.
Do you know, I genuinely tried not to think about it.
Yeah.
I watched the episode and I saw the ribcage coming up and the guts. And I kind of thought at that moment when I saw it, well, hang on, if his ribcage is up and his guts are out, his eyes aren't going to be open. And that's as much as I thought about it. And we had a brief conversation, as you've just touched on there, about, you know, how you felt it should go. But after that, I just didn't think about it. I was just waiting to see how they were going to play it out. Yeah. And I must admit, I think they did it well.
Oh, it was well done. And also what I liked is the episode they brought him back. They brought him back right at the start. They literally showed from the start of the episode what had happened in order for him to escape from the Horde, which made perfect sense. Therefore, they weren't dragging it out. However, that was 4 episodes later. You know, that happened in episode 7 and he was supposedly killed at the end of 3.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can take it episode by episode...
Let's go back to the start, shall we?
Yes, and funnily enough... Episode 1, for me, was probably the most disappointing. And I can remember us talking about it then and you being very excited and saying, oh my God, did you see The Walking Dead? Wasn't it amazing? Yeah. And I went, yeah, it was a bit boring though. Nothing happened. And I can remember making you laugh by saying to me that episode was City Slickers with zombies. Because it was just herding zombies from one place to another. So people get out there, you know, And I think that probably was the one episode that let me down a bit.
I think that was the reason I liked that episode. Not because it was in any way resembling City Slickers, but it was just the sudden realisation of the sheer amount of these fuckers that are still out there. You know, they haven't just dwindled because they've not fed, and they haven't just rotted. There's fucking tons of them stuck in this little quarry.
Yes.
I love zombies.
Because they all turned up there because the ones in there were making a noise, which was drawing the rest of them, and they were literally tumbling into a quarry.
Which was a brilliant
But they were held back by basically 2 trucks that were effectively, one of them was about to fall off, and therefore they were all going to get out.
Yeah. So. I love zombies, but I love zombies more in volume. Yeah, I think they're... Because that's the way they're a threat, that's the way that they are the awesome force that they become, is in numbers.
Yeah. 1 zombie, piece of piss. 100 zombies, shit. Yeah.
I also felt as well with that first episode when they're discussing the plan of what they're going to do, and then all of a sudden realising, shit, we got to do it now, otherwise there's no way we can do it.
Yeah.
That, to me, made me think of Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, where they're planning to move the trucks and park them up in front of the mall so no one can get through the windows, and just that real sort of like quick snap decision making thing. I thought it was an absolutely amazing season opener. I mean, really did.
They used the plot telling device, and again they used the times embedded because it was partly told in flashback and partly told in current time, and the bits in flashback were in black and white.
That's right, yeah. Clever. I like that.
It was a clever plot telling device.
Yeah.
But it did kind of make me expect zombie Dante to suddenly turn up and say, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Okay, yeah, I suppose there was that. Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say, and I stood up and smacked the top of my TV. What is this? What is the colour gone? So, episode 1, as you say, you weren't overly enamoured with, whereas I just thought it was jaw-dropping.
But of course, that episode ended with them herding the zombies away, but then suddenly the sound of a siren or horn going off, which suddenly made all the zombies start walking back towards Alexandria, which was explained in episode 2, which is where it suddenly got ramped up. You know, they fucking went up to 11 because it was superb. And this was a fact that whilst, let's say, the big guns of the group were out herding the zombies, the wolves, you know, this group of nut jobs, obviously with the W scar on their forehead, decided that this was the time to take down Alexandria and just attacked. And of course the attack, you know, was first brought to our notice with that wonderful scene where Carol is sort of standing on the porch of her house, or maybe inside her house, and watching the woman over the way having a smoke, and then just this guy with a machete ran past and just took her out. And Carol's like, what the fuck? But of course that episode, as has happened so many times before, particularly with the Terminus episode, just showed us what a badass Carol is.
Oh, she is.
Because she ended up killing and then dressing up as one of the wolves and using
She
this
even puts the W on her head,
even put a
doesn't she?
bloody W on her head and use this disguise to take down some of the wolves around them.
I think of all the characters in the show, she is the one who's had the steepest character evolution,
Absolutely,
because she's
without
gone
a
from
shadow
being
of a
the
meek,
beaten
wife,
from which we do see her abuser brilliantly taken out in the first season, thankfully, for her, and coming up now full circle to her being just the absolute, as you say, the real badass of the crew, isn't she? She can equally rival to Rick and Michonne any day, can't
yes,
she?
absolutely.
Those three are like the holy trinity. They're awesome together.
Of course, what you also had was the flip side of that, which is Morgan, who's showed up with his lovely stick and doesn't want to take people down and wants to help people, and was sort of shown with the fact that whilst Carol just wanted to take these people down and just destroy them, Morgan, he almost wants to rehabilitate people and sort of show them the error in their ways in a way that he's clearly been, which of course we'll touch on in a little bit. And so you had the flip side of that, and there's that one where he took the guy down and said sorry, and at the time we're thinking, is he saying sorry because he's going to have to kill him? But then of course that comes back out. Indeed, yes, that has a payoff.
Yeah, they are a really good two sides of the same coin, I think, Morgan and Carol.
Carol, yeah.
And I think scenes when they're together are quite electric, because you can see her distrust for him, and you can see his almost disbelief at why she is so untrusting when when all he wants to do. I mean, I think at one stage he does say something along the lines of, all life is precious.
Yes.
It's not. It doesn't matter who you are.
We don't get to choose.
Yeah, everyone should get a chance.
Yeah. And of course that shows us what the cause of the horn going off, which was a lorry that was being driven and was supposedly about to be driven through the walls to open it up, and Deanna's son manages to stop it, but of course inadvertently is it a zombie trapped against the horn of the lorry? That's of course that horn is what we hear at the end of episode 1, which starts to draw the zombies towards us. So that was just, in terms of pacing, was just ramped up the fucked upness and the energy from the first one, which is very much heard, and then suddenly this massive attack, which was fantastic, which of course led us into episode 3, which was the people who were doing the herding and now stuck out far from Alexandria, like 5.5 miles I think they were saying, and they need to get back, but of course amongst a zombie horde that's also hearing this horn and is trying to make its way to Alexandria. And
also as well with Rick telling them, keep going, the mission is lead them away. If you come back now, there's a chance they'll follow you.
And so Abraham, Sasha and Daryl keep going, keep trying to lead the ones that are still going away, whilst the rest have to make their way back. And of course this was probably the episode that was full of the most deaths. You had an awful lot of the survivors, the Alexandrians were killed, including obviously supposedly Glenn, but his was precipitated by the suicide of Nicholas, who obviously was probably the most unlikable character in Alexandria and had tried to kill Glenn at the end of season 5. And they found themselves at the end of a dead-end alley, standing on a dumpster, trying to figure out a way to get away from this horde that's surrounding them. Nicholas just gets his gun out and puts one in his own head.
Which I must admit, I thought was a poor choice for that character. I thought that character could have done a lot more.
True.
I liked him as a character.
But I think what they wanted to show was the reasons for his actions up to that point. Was A, he was very selfish, but B, he was a coward. I mean, the reason that guy in the revolving door got killed was because he just bottled it. Rather than wait it out, he just thought, right, I have to get out, so he pushed out, and the other guy got taken. And
I think he learnt his lesson after that, though, and that's what I thought. That's why I felt it was a bit of a waste of the character to have. I mean, obviously, when you've said he's a coward, I think it was more just that he was absolutely petrified and couldn't see any way out of it. He could see no way out of the situation as a whole, not just them being stuck on top of the dumpster.
No, sure.
So I don't think.
Yeah, but then isn't that the coward's way out, though?
Well, yeah,
rather than fight to survive,
say.
The rest of them would fight to survive. The coward's way out is to put a gun to your head and end it, and therefore put the other person in danger.
So he's done exactly the same thing that he did in the revolving door,
precisely.
Just albeit in a
therefore,
different
you
manner.
are selfish and you are a coward, and your behaviour impacts the people around you.
That's a fair point. I mean, it is a shame because he was just. I think the character was just starting to kind of see what the right thing was to do. But then it was very, very cleverly foreshadowed, wasn't it, with him having kind of the little woozy head.
Yes, indeed.
And, he was obviously a man who was at the end of his tether and he's lost his mind, basically. He just completely lost his mind. It didn't compute with him. So he took himself out, didn't he? And then, unfortunately, took Glenn down with him. Yeah. Or so we thought.
Yes, well, because, of course, he landed on top of Glenn, and therefore what we thought was Glenn's guts was actually his guts, and Glenn managed to get under the dumpster and survive, but we didn't find that out till episode 7. And that episode also ended, of course, with Rick in the RV being attacked by wolves and having to shoot them in order to survive their attack, but in doing so had rendered the RV unusable and suddenly was surrounded by a zombie horde, and that's how the episode ended. So suddenly you're thinking, shit, Glenn's dead, Rick's in trouble, so many people have died, what the hell's going on?
So those wolves that attacked Rick as well, in particular, are quite important, aren't they? Because they are the ones that Morgan let go.
Allowed to survive.
So Morgan's choice to allow people to live because everyone deserves to live has obviously had a bit of a backfiring effect on his own people, hasn't it?
Yeah, and that, of course, this massive, oh my god, what the hell happened, led us into what I have to say was my favourite episode of the entire season, which was the Morgan episode. So they went from high drama and cliffhanger ending to telling a flashback story, which is how Morgan turned from this angry, bitter, twisted and at odds with the world character to the person we're seeing now, this, sort of full of peace and karma and everything. And
what's the ongoing thing that he says throughout the episode? Is something about he must clear, or he's born to clear, or he was here to clear, and that's what the guy who, what's the character's name? He teaches him. I can't remember his name, but he is an actor that's been in everything that I think we picked up on one of our episodes, didn't we? And we hadn't seen that episode of Walking Dead. Otherwise, we'd have gone, he's in bloody Walking Dead, isn't he?
Because we were talking about him being the dad in Paul, weren't we?
That's right. Yes, Kristen Wiig's father.
Wiig's father. Yes, indeed.
Someone who wouldn't have been out of place in Frailty, to be honest, as in that character.
So suddenly we had this amazing flashback that showed this guy who was living alone, clearly at peace with the world, but wanting to defend himself. And the fact that the first thing he did was throw Morgan a copy of The Art of War. Yeah. And of course had Morgan in a cage that it later turned out wasn't locked at all, so Morgan could let him. Morgan's working out ways to escape, and
I loved that.
Just wants to take this down. And it was a fantastic episode. And we obviously knew this guy wasn't going to make it, and there was some conflict in there, but telling the great story, the fact that his wife and daughter had been murdered by this escaped criminal. And he'd actually stolen him from a chain gang, taken him back to this house, put him in there and allowed him to starve over 47 days. And of course, we weren't sure whether he'd actually done this and whether he'd gone through with it. It was only when we saw the criminal's grave towards the end that we realised that he had actually gone through with it. And just compelling storytelling. It was absolutely fantastic.
Not so much that he was teaching him how to survive, he was just teaching him how to live again, wasn't
absolutely.
He? Teaching him how to be human, and hence why obviously that's gone forward now. He has got this whole everyone deserves a chance kind of thing. One thing we didn't mention as well very briefly was in episode 2 we get to see how, I believe her name is Erin, I think, the young girl who Carl and I'm going to call him Ron because that is his name, Ron Weasley, I don't know why, who are both crushing on. We get to see how she came to be, don't we, as well? We see her. I thought that was heartbreaking. Her watching her family being eaten was really harked back to the original Night of the Living Dead with Karen in the cellar, the little girl,
and of course her and the tortoise as well.
Indeed, eating the tortoise.
The tortoise.
Some really good sound effects.
Of course, there was a lot of rumours going around that she might be something to do with the wolves, wasn't it?
She was like a plant.
Whether she was a plant by the wolves, to actually be within Alexandria to allow them in.
I think on the whole, the opening part of the season for me was really, really Romero. It's the most Romero I've seen The Walking Dead, and I think even now Romero, because Romero's famously said about The Walking Dead, it's just a sitcom with zombies. It doesn't really work, sort of thing. Which I don't agree. As much as I absolutely adore George Romero, I think The Walking Dead definitely has its place in zombie lore. Yeah. But I think he would probably watch season 6 and go, okay, I see you've grown, and your storytelling abilities are a lot more fleshed out now.
Yep. If you pardon the pun.
Yeah, pardon the pun indeed. Where did we go from there?
Well, Then we went into episode 5. Episode 5 was a weird one because it kind of did away with a cliffhanger at the end of episode 3, which was Rick stuck in the RV surrounded by zombies, because one of the first things we see is Rick running towards the gates of Alexandria screaming, "Open the gates, open the gates." It was never explained how he got past that horde that was completely surrounding an RV he was trapped in, which was odd.
And I said that to you, didn't I? It's one question they didn't answer, wasn't it? Was that? And,
indeed.
I'm kind of a bit more at peace with it now.
Yeah.
It's Rick Grimes. We've had 6 seasons of knowing how much of a badass he is, so for him to get out of that situation is not too much of a stretch for me.
Absolutely.
I mean, episode 1, he's in a tank surrounded by zombies, isn't he? And he got out of that, albeit with Glenn's help. But
so this episode was the situation back at Alexandria, the survivors coming back, realising that Glenn hadn't come back, and Maggie and Aaron going out and trying to find out what was what, and there was that great sewer pipe. The
sewer zombies was beautifully done,
really
beautifully done, because we've seen a lot of different zombies in The Walking Dead. Obviously, we've seen fresh kills, and we've seen ones that have been left for a fair while. But now we're 6 seasons in. Obviously, these zombies are starting to get rank now, and this one in the sewer was particularly good. Purely for the fact that she's trying to push it away and her hands are going through it.
Just
it's like,
going into its chest.
How do you get something away from you if you can't, you can't get any sort of
literally falling apart when you're trying to stop it.
So that was brilliant done. We also found out as well that, I think this was the episode where we found out where Maggie is pregnant.
Yes,
right?
it was, yes.
So hence her absolute must. That she must find Glenn. She must, and she's got the belief that he is still out there because, they've kind of got this link between them, haven't they? That they know. They just know.
And I would say the last 4 episodes are probably getting back to your more staple Walking Dead type episodes, which is all the survivors are back in Alexandria. It all becomes about inner squabbles and, some fights and some politics and almost trying to get back to the status quo after all the shit that's gone down in the previous sort of 4/3 episodes if you knock out the Morgan one.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the only characters we hadn't touched on really were what had happened to Daryl, Abraham and Sasha.
Yeah.
And that was touched on in episode 6, which is when we find that they were attacked by a group we initially thought were wolves, but then turned out to be the Saviours.
Yep.
Another nasty group out there, of which I'm sure we're going to see an awful lot more.
And we will discuss before the end of this.
Indeed, yes. And so, it was Daryl getting separated from Sasha and Abraham, and coming across these 3 people who were on the run from the Saviours, who turned out to have been part of the group but had splintered away. And almost him showing that he's sort of developing more of a humanistic side.
He's learned, hasn't he?
Yes, precisely. Than he's being displayed by, your Ricks, Michonnes and Carols of this world.
Almost as if when he finally does make it back to the group, he's going to be more siding with Morgan than he is with Rick.
Absolutely, yes.
And he's kind of been Rick's... if there's a little angel and the devil on your shoulder, like in National Lampoon's Animal House or Jay and Silent Bob, even, he's definitely been the angel on Rick's shoulder, hasn't he? I think it's very, very cleverly kind of foreshadowed all the way through with the angel wings on his back.
Yes, indeed.
He's, I think, bar none, he's my favourite character in the show, and it always used to be Rick for me.
Right.
But I think Daryl is just consistently well written, consistently well performed. And very much so that where he comes across the 3 survivors, I thought showed a really, really cool side of it.
And there was one great bit that I liked in this episode. I mean, it was stupid and it was frustrating, but in terms of storytelling, it was cleverly done, which was the greenhouse that had set on fire.
Oh, yes.
And the glass had melted onto 2 people.
Yeah.
And therefore, you effectively had 2 zombies minting box.
Yeah.
Because they were... They were covered in glass, and of course the girls thought, they're dead, and went on because they were their friends, and and of course they broke out the glass and ate her or bit her anyway. And I thought that was really cleverly done. Not something we've seen happen before. People getting covered in melting glass, but of course they're still alive within this sort of glass tomb.
Yeah, there's been some very inventive kills this season, actually.
Absolutely. And was that the one where we also saw the Swamp Thing zombie, wasn't it? I think coming out of the trees towards Daryl when he was... and the sort of the nod to Swamp Thing.
Yeah, very much so.
In
fact, that's just before he comes across the survivors, I think, isn't it?
And because he's obviously injured. He's sort of come off the bike, hasn't he? And he's all cut up and bleeding, and he sort of collapsed off the bike. And of course, it's there that he loses not only the crossbow but his bike as well. So
the most heartbreaking thing about the entire season for
absolutely.
me, he's lost his signature weapon and his wheels that he built himself.
Yes. And there was also a bit of sort of first inkling of some sort of sexual spark between Abraham and Sasha as well. With sort of Abraham saying, you know, I think I'm getting under your skin, and her saying, don't kid yourself. But I wonder how they're teeing that one up. That'll be
because Abraham is actually kind of almost in a little bit of having a bit of a fling relationship with t'other girl back at base camp, isn't he?
Yes.
Whose name escapes me right now, but she's like the hard ass Latina kind of girl,
one, yes.
Who actually had a brilliant scene in an episode. I can't remember which episode it was. It might have even been the next episode afterwards. Might be episode 7, where she's training them all.
Yes.
Was that episode 7?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, with the machetes.
That's brilliant.
Yes.
That is absolutely brilliant. Oh, I do kind of hope Eugene fucking buys it soon, though, because if anyone deserves to go,
but to me, that's why he's sticking around. Because I think everybody's saying he's an idiot. He doesn't know how to defend himself, and it was quite good that at the end of, again, sort of tying up your little bits, that at the end of episode 6, when Abraham and Sasha pick up Daryl in the van and they're driving off, and they're trying to communicate with Rick, and all of a sudden somebody goes, and they go, say again, and you just hear somebody say, help, and you wonder who it is, and of course the payoff is that in episode 8, that's Eugene, who's about to be attacked, but anyway, we'll come to that. So episode 7 was the Glenn's still alive reveal,
and
also him
meeting up with the young girl, Enid, it is Enid,
and them sort of trying to make their way back, along with sort of some other stuff happening, obviously with, you know, Maggie, you know, wanting to find out if Glenn's still alive, and the various bits going on there, and also Ron wanting to kill Carl and managed to get bullets for his gun,
which I'm going to discuss a bit more in a minute.
Okay, well, go on. Do you want to do that now? Let's do it.
Every TV show has to have one of them, doesn't it? Every TV show has to have a character that you could just fucking do without.
Just a dick.
And he, honestly, if he doesn't go out early on in the next batch of episodes, it's going to be painful, because he is just the most annoyingly scrawny, just doesn't fucking get it character that I've ever seen in the show. And I loved it when Carl finally kind of sort of like, you know, aimed his gun at him and just said, right, give me your gun. Okay,
you are holding a zombie by a leash. In front of you are 2 doors. Behind door A is Eugene, behind door B is Ron. Through which door do you feed said zombie?
It goes straight to Ron, because as annoying as Eugene is, he's got a little bit more time on this earth, and I think he's got some knowledge up there if he can just hold on for 2 minutes and not be fucking petrified of everything.
Cool.
But Ron, he's not going to learn, is he? He's one of those characters, much like Deanna's son was a little bit, and obviously... who was the chap who killed Deanna's husband, who Rick had to take out? Yes. That was What's-Her-Face's husband, wasn't it? These characters...
Good old What's-Her-Face. I'll never forget old What's-Her-Face.
What's-Her-Face. I can't... There's a lot of characters in it whose names I do forget. I'm going to call them Alexandria resident number 232.
Yes.
But yeah, there were a lot of characters, obviously, already in Alexandria, who, as soon as Rick and the gang showed up... Rick and the Gang, that sounds like a fucking terrible band, doesn't it? I wouldn't go and see them. Maybe on a cruise ship. When they turn up, they obviously all think, you know, we've been doing this for months, years, you know, we know exactly what we're doing. And it's that whole sort of, we know better than you, when they actually fucking don't know shit.
Yeah, of course.
And Ron is now that, probably one of the only remaining characters of that type, and I think he just needs to do one, really.
Yeah.
He was kind of almost going to kill Carl over a girl, wasn't he? Over the little mini love triangle that didn't even exist with Enid.
Yeah.
Which is annoying to me, and I don't think it had any place, really. I don't think teenage angst has a place in this world for me.
Yeah. So episode 7 ended with Glenn and Enid managing to send up the helium balloons.
Yes.
And of course Maggie saw them and realised that, because Glenn had always said, if I'm alive I'll send you a signal, and she realised it was him. But then at that exact moment, the church steeple,
it's like a watchtower thing, isn't it?
Something just eventually falls over through the wall, thus allowing all of the zombies who are outside Alexandria into Alexandria. So big cliffhanger ending. And then episode 8,
start to finish,
just batshit crazy. Just zombies flying in, you know, from all angles.
And you said about that tower coming down that takes the fence out. That shot at the opening of episode 8 is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
It's kind of
because you got the dust,
all the dust
coming out,
and then them just coming through it again. very Romero.
Yes.
Very Romero. Just the quiet after the big tower crash, and then just the...
And of course, all the residents all have to run away. They'll form into little groups. Deanna obviously gets bitten.
Yep.
And they don't find out until they get inside, so they're all separated. And, yeah, it's basically an episode of all hell breaking loose and, you wondering who's going to die, and there's a big sort of fight-stroke-gun scene between Ron and Carl.
Very important fight between Morgan and Carol,
which I thought
was
ridiculous.
It is a bit ridiculous.
If, I understand that Carol doesn't trust Morgan, and Carol doesn't understand why Morgan would be holding a wolf. A wolf who has already said, there is no turning me. The moment I'm out of here, I'm going to kill you all. So, you can understand that. But what I didn't understand, obviously the wacky doctor was in there with them because, was sort of treating him for this sort of septic wound he had. But what I didn't get was, by all means have a big ruck over him about whether you should let him live or kill him, whatever. But don't do it right in front of him, because the moment one of you takes the other one out, that person's then vulnerable, and that's exactly what happened. And that was the one thing that kind of made me go, really?
Plus, you're feeding his fire as well. If he's causing that much of a ruckus between two,
But again, what
I
I thought was odd was knowing that outside, just walking around, is a huge zombie horde. The fact that he took the doctor and sort of, held a gun to her head and sort of said, right, okay, you all stay there, throw me your guns and that sort of thing, and then shut at the door. Where the fuck was he going? What was he thinking he was going to be?
Into?
Yeah, he would have looked out the door and said, actually, do you know what, second thoughts, I'm not going out there.
Yeah, I've decided I'm never killing again, and what's for dinner?
Yeah, so that was odd, but of course ending up with them having to get out and covering themselves in zombie guts.
Which was brilliantly done again.
Yes, it was.
A really, really lovely scene. Although, what's her face?
Yes, the blondie.
The blondie.
Yes.
Our other son needs to be killed as well.
Would you not? When you were talking about the Ron situation, I was going to say, okay, what about in room 3? There's the young... Because he's been completely mental. But in a way you can understand that, because he's a young kid who's trying to survive in the zombie apocalypse. And if you've got a young kid who is so scared that zombies are going to come and get him that he won't even leave his room and won't come downstairs, and he's literally in his room playing Tiptoe Through the Tulips by Tiny Tim on repeat.
Ominous.
That was pretty weird, but
I think
so cover him in zombie guts and take him outside, and you can understand why when they're having to be quiet and walk through this zombie horde, he's suddenly going, Mom, Mom, as it ends, and of course as he's saying Mum, you hear the agitation of the zombie horde.
I'm just hoping
as it fades to black.
I'm just hoping they eat him. I'm just hoping they eat him in front of everyone.
Funnily enough,
she goes, do you know what? Fair enough. I've already got one.
The whole Alexandria thing, albeit by a different name and slightly different characters, is very much from the comics. This has happened. And in this scene that this half season has ended on, is straight out of the comics, and something major happens within about a minute of where episode 8 ended.
So they've been clever by clipping that.
That would have major ramifications, but I'm not sure if they could do it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they could.
Should look forward.
Because you didn't get that far in the comics, did you? So it'll be interesting to see where they take it. But you're right. To me, I think in terms of an 8-episode stretch, this for me has been the best The Walking Dead has been thus far in terms of... I mean, my favourite episode is still from season 4, the Tyrone and Carol with the two young girls on the way to Terminus. That I think will always be my favourite episode. That was superb. But in terms of a half season, this has been fantastic. It's been ups, downs, it's been
all around
perils. It's been fantastic. So more please, and of course we have to wait till the
February.
Valentine's Day.
No. But I
don't think many young ladies are going to be taken out that night, are they?
No, definitely not.
Take away Walking Dead, love. That's all you're getting.
That's about the size of it. So, obviously, they did something that they don't normally do with The Walking Dead as well. We got an after-credits sequence.
We did.
Little stinger, if you like, with Daryl, Sasha and Abraham.
Yep.
One thing we didn't mention as well, I did love the moment with Abraham finding the army jacket.
Yes.
I thought that was a really nice... And it almost made me think of him as being a human. bub.
Yes.
If you know what I mean. He's remembering who he was. He was an army man, and he was, he's evidently served, and he was military, and it's kind of him going, and you could see as he put the jacket on, he straightens up, and it's like, I want so much more from him in the next episodes, because I think he's a great character. But I digress. Anyway, that little stinger I thought was brilliant.
Yes.
So they obviously get stopped in the road by the saviours.
Yep.
Again, These are not characters that I'm overly familiar with because I never got that far in the comic.
Okay.
But they also do, at the end, give us a little mention as to who our next big bad is. Who is Negan, who is going to be played by...
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Who you listeners will probably know as the comedian from Watchmen.
Yep.
That's going to be good.
Absolutely. Well, if it's anything like the comics, it's going to be batshit crazy. It's going to be fantastic.
From what I've read, I read a very brief interview with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He's a big fan, apparently, of the books, and he has said that they have literally removed him from the pages and they've put him on the screen.
Good.
He's mentioned the fact that he's got Lucille, which is am I right in saying this, the barbed wire covered baseball bat?
Yep.
And he said that it's not going to disappoint. He's giddy like a schoolgirl, and he's excited for it. So
he will make the governor look like a little schoolgirl. He's a nasty piece of work. So
good, because I loved his henchman in that Stinger scene. I thought he was brilliant. I loved he does a little line where he says, "If you don't get out of the truck, we will split you in two." And he said, "No, we'll split you into through
to your sinuses."
Through to your sinuses.
Yes.
Brilliant, and that whole bit of dialogue is really, really brilliantly done. For that, it's like not even 2 minutes long, that scene, and you get so much about those characters in just that little 2 minutes with him saying everything in your truck, the clothes you're wearing, the spare napkins, even the mints, even if you dropped a bit of corn under the seat,
the porno under your seat,
it all belongs to Negan. But what a great way to end the show, I think.
Yep.
So. Excellent stuff, sir.
Good stuff.
So I'm glad we both enjoyed it because I think it's just getting stronger and stronger every season now. So
yeah, cool
stuff.
Right, well, that's it for this episode. So for myself, Graham,
myself, Scott.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.